Hello and welcome to this edition of Talkin Blues. My name is Keith Wyatt, and this month we're going to talk about soloing with extensions. Now, in the last couple of lessons we've talked about jazz blues rhythm, and now for the next couple we're going to talk about jazz blues soloing. We're going to follow the same basic path, which is starting with extending the harmony, then altering the harmony, and finally creating substitutions within the harmony. And this is all in the context of 12-bar blues. So in soloing terms, we're going to reflect the sound of the chords in the sounds of the phrases that we're playing. And I'm going to take you step by step through the process. Now basically it works like this. You take a standard blues lick like this. Okay? Everybody on earth plays that. That phrase contains basically the third of the chord, the fifth, and the octave, right? We're making a big deal out of basically the triad. But when I play jazz blues, what I do is I make a big deal out of the notes that are outside the triad and even outside the seventh chord. And by that I mean the extensions. And the extensions are the notes above the basic chord tones. A basic chord in blues, dominant chord, of course, is made up of a root, third, fifth, and seventh, arranged in any order. And when I continue above the octave, I get the ninth, which is the second degree above the octave, and then the 13th. And when I build those notes, the 9th and 13th, into the chord, I get this very jazzy effect in the harmony. And you recognize it right away. So when I play a phrase that uses that same sound, I just tilt the phrase slightly. So instead of this, I get something like this. That's figure one. So what I did was I played the same basic phrase, same rhythm, but I substituted the ninth for the root. And by shifting the emphasis over to the extension, it created that jazzy quality. It's just a style thing. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a context of a 12-bar solo, starting with looking at the harmony and then transferring the sounds we hear in the chords into the phrases. All right? So let's start with the harmony. Now I wrote out for you a little typical jazz blues comp here that uses 9th and 13th chords. And it goes a little something like this in B flat, and you can follow along in figure 2. 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3. All right, so within that harmony, what I've got is 9th chord, 9th chord, 13th chord, and so on. Now, these are not unusual voicings for these chords, but you have to kind of get into the mechanics of the chord to figure out where that extension is. So when I look at this 9th chord, I say, there's the 9th. Now, if I discover the 9th in this octave, I can play that 9th in any octave. So I can place it up on top of the phrase, and that's where that note came from in the opening lick there. So you get the idea. I've got the 9th, there's the 9th on the E flat chord, and then I've got the B flat 13th, there's the 13th on the B flat chord. So I'm discovering where the notes are within the chords. And then when I create a solo line, what I'm doing is I'm actually taking the extensions and emphasizing them over the other notes that I would use in my blues vocabulary. Now I could play over this progression using a pretty typical blues approach. Right, standard blues phrases. And they would fit with the rhythm, and actually because of the way blues is, it's kind of a very elastic style. I could play that over these extended chords and it sounds fine. It just sounds uptown. But to bring the extra color in, I want to focus on the extra notes in the chord.